Hey, Jeremy.
Mock. Yeah. Ing.
Ing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bird.
Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Nom.
And for all the listeners who are still around, from us just doing that, welcome to the When Jeremy Met Nam Do a Movie podcast.
Yes,
And
sir.
glad to have you guys sitting next to us as we discuss Jeremy's classic choice, the 1994 classic, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
Dumb
Yes.
and Dumber. I mean, I can ask you why, but I mean, I think obviously there's a reason why. Or, I mean, we all know
Look.
why.
Look.
Do,
It's
do
play.
tell.
Look. It's plain and simple, right? If you grew up in the '90s, or you're just a huge fan of comedy, there is no way you don't like a Jim Carrey film to me. Okay. There is so many great movies to pick from. The hardest part is which one is the funniest and more enjoyable to you. There's really no wrong answer, really, when it comes to his comedy library. So Dumb and Dumber is my favorite Jim Carrey movie of all time. I think that it just tops Ace Ventura for me. It topped The Mask. It's just a perfect combination of him and Jeff Daniels just being total idiots. And they do a damn good job, being idiots so much as kind of genius in a way. And it's just enjoyable over and over again. It never gets old because I think that sometimes we ourselves feel kind of dumb for certain little things. So it's watching this is like, okay, I'm not the only one that did something that dumb. But, I love this film. It's just a good ride. It goes by so quick. And I don't think there's really a dull moment to me in this film. And if there is a dull moment, it's still freaking entertaining in that way. So yeah, that's the reason I picked it. I think that I need to get my first Jim Carrey movie out of the way. And I want to hit people with my favorite one that is Dumb and Dumber. And I think to me, it's tough because it's up there with Liar Liar too. It's tough. But Dumb and Dumber it affects me more, So what about you, Nam?
Yeah, I think Dumb and Dumber is probably definitely like you had the string of comedies that came out during the 1990s, the mid 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and Dumb and Dumber by far is probably the one that I think more people. I would say probably admire because I mean, just like what you said, I think it did stupidity in such a clever way. Because I mean, there were parts in this movie where it was just like they were kind of clever in what they were doing, but then it's just still absolutely stupid as well. Then you always have the argument in the movie or after the movie where you're like, so which one's dumber? Which one's dumb? Which one's dumber?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's a beloved Jim Carrey classic. I mean, I'd put it up there as probably my top one too as well. Because I mean, I like Ace Ventura too, but I mean, Dumb and Dumber is just one of those movies that I think was a joy to watch all the way through. And then I think you had a lot of good points where you laughed at the movie. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of quotes that we use in just randomly because of this movie. So yeah, absolutely can understand why you made this choice. Glad you made this choice. Look forward to watching the movie again because I know I hadn't seen it in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a sequel to this movie, which was, I mean, the title was clever, where they did Dumb and Dumber 2 instead of TOOTO.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way that movie started. I can't say how I felt about it all the way through, but I like the way that movie started.
I commend them for trying back again. So, I appreciate there's a sequel, for better for worse. I appreciate that they managed to give it another shot to see if they can still do it.
Yes.
And then, of course, you have the prequel that a lot of people do not speak of, So it's almost actually now it's a trilogy. They had made a trilogy out of Dumb and Dumber. So, but those two movies do not affect this movie whatsoever. You can still walk away with Dumb and Dumber and never have to watch the other two because they don't do anything to affect this movie because they don't talk about the past at all, and they don't talk about what the future is. I mean, the last thing you remember in the future is them walking down the street and letting a bus full of beautiful women drive past them. so,
Basically,
you know, it's whatever. So, but
So going back to now, going into the trailer, because actually I don't remember this trailer when I was a kid.
mhm.
I remember seeing one. I just don't remember it
Do
as a
you remember
kid.
more of the TV spots more than the trailer itself?
Maybe
I remember more of the TV spots, like
I got
the
you.
little snippets they talk about TV, like in theaters now, like those 30, 20-second ones. And
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I was surprised how much the trailer showed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I felt the trailer was kind of long, personally, but I was really kind of surprised at how much the trailer showed, how many of the gags and how many of the jokes that they showed in the trailer. It wasn't like you didn't get the full story behind all the gags and the jokes, but they showed a lot in the trailer to me. And for me, who's seen it before, it just brings back memories of everything of the movie in itself. So that was funny. But the trailer alone, I think I would probably be sold and interested in watching it just if I had no background into this movie, just in general, just because of the sheer stupidity of what's going on in the trailers. And Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels are just great. They have chemistry. Even the small tidbits of chemistry that they have in the trailer, you can just kind of tell. And I was gonna say with Daniels, it'll be interesting too because he's not one of those ones that you just immediately associate with comedies.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I had no background in this movie whatsoever, I think I'd want to see it just because I'd be curious to see like just kind of what kind of shenanigans they get themselves into.
Mm-hmm. The trailer itself, I agree, is long, but I think what makes up for it is them defining what stupidity is based on quotes, which I thought was funny, from like Edgar Allan Poe, Oscar Wilde, what, like all these famous quotes, and then they put the snippet to it. So, like, even though it was long, I still think it was still worth it just because you saw them trying to do a theme of what stupid is. And so, and I'm glad that, even though I've seen the movie a million times, that the trailer still didn't show all the hidden gems that are in there. You can all automatically tell that this is a road trip somewhere, but you don't know where the destination is yet. And so, but you notice that you're going through up on Colorado, you're going somewhere around the countryside, you're all these places. So it's interesting. The question for people that probably watch it is, who are these people that are around Jim Carrey and Daniel characters Lloyd and gosh, I forgot the other guy's name. See, I feel dumb already not remember that name. So but yeah, I think that is still worth watching just because like I think they wanted to just have it's more the intrigue, I guess. Like they didn't want to show you the funny stuff. They just want to show you stuff that kind of makes you intrigued. Like, what the hell are these two? I think that's what a lot of people would look at it like. Why do I want to watch these two? I think that's what they did a good job on this trailer. Like, why do I care about these two? So yeah, okay.
Yes, and hopefully you guys will go out there and watch this movie too, enjoy it, come back and listen to our conversation about it, and we will catch you guys after these breaks. And we are back from the 1994 PG-13 movie Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
This movie was released December 16th, 1994. Had a runtime of 106 minutes. Did 17 million as far as the budget is concerned. In box office, $247.3 million.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, I did.
So, Jeremy, it's going to be interesting the next two reviews that we have, just because I say reviews, but the conversations we have, because I just don't see us have an extreme serious conversation on any of the two movies that we're about to do.
Do we ever? Do we ever have serious conversations?
Yeah, because I just don't know how I just don't know how you can actually talk about as goofy as it is. They had a list of names that they wanted to actually cast in this movie besides Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I saw that
And
too.
I would have asked you if you felt these guys would have made the cut to you.
Okay, what you got?
So Nicolas Cage.
No.
I didn't. Yeah, me neither. I don't know who Nicolas Cage would play. Who would he even play? Harry or Lloyd?
Harry. Hands down, you'd be Harry.
Martin Short.
Harry.
Okay. Steve Martin.
Lloyd.
Rob Lowe.
Lloyd.
Which is weird. Like Rob Lowe is not somebody that I would put on this list.
I wouldn't, but he has more of a Lloyd look. If I had to pick.
Okay. And one of the greats as far as acting, Gary Oldman. I know, right?
Harry.
The parakeet. He would play the parakeet.
He'd play the parakeet. Actually, I think he'd be one of the bad guys. I think he would be the main boss.
Oh, the main bad guy.
Yeah,
I can see that. Him, Rob Lowe, could easily be the main bad guy too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely Rob Lowe, where he can be. He got poisoned by his own pills. So
Joe, he can be Joe. Rob Lowe can be Joe. So yeah, I had to sit there. I was like, this movie, I just can't see being anybody else but at least Jim Carrey. And don't get me wrong, absolutely love Jeff Daniels in this role too. Mm-hmm. But if you were to have a possible replacement, like Jeff Daniels might be someone you would replace, even though it's also really hard to see him not be Harry in this movie. But I think Jim Carrey has to be in this movie for it to be good. Yeah,
so much that how convincing it was to get Jeff Daniels to do that movie at such a low payout. You know, here's this guy sitting on only $50,000 to do the role, while Jim Carrey's sitting on $7 million. And you know, even Jeff Daniels' ages were against it. The studio was definitely against Jeff Daniels doing this role and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's almost felt like that Jeff Daniels wanted to do it to prove to the studio that he's willing to take the low costs, just to more prove to them, like, I can do this role, to show you that I can diverse more than anything. And, you know, I think he pulled it off very well.
Oh, he knocked it out of the park all the way.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I think a lot of people, or in your own opinion, I always sat in like, who do I think is dumb and who's dumber? And I have to say Lloyd is dumber than Harry, hands down, based on my log, because I started writing down everything that Lloyd did and everything Harry did and kind of weighed out the dumb and dumber. And Lloyd is, I think, is hands down dumber than Harry through this movie.
You know, that's a fair statement, but I can agree with you on that. But I think Lloyd has his moments of brilliance.
No, he does. He does
moments of brilliance. But I think overall, just all the way across the board, I think you're right. I think Lloyd is probably the dumber of the two choices.
I think what's funny is Harry goes into stuff maybe thinking too hard about stuff, and then Lloyd just goes in without thinking.
Or at least his thoughts is not very good. Let's just say that.
Yeah, like they did a good job of really, really playing each other off in the movie, of their characters, of making you think like, okay, maybe Harry's dumb or Lloyd is dumber, you know, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And just the fact that, you know, it's just hilarious how they made that work, and the fact that you just laugh your head off of like some of the moments they just do. This movie is a laughing journey for me. I'm not gonna say, watching this movie again, I'm not gonna say it's a bust gut open movie. Like I'm on the floor laughing hard. I laugh at more of that just happened kind of moment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like okay, that just happened. All right, that was funny. But you know, there was never anything where I just fell to the ground laughing. I don't know. Was there any parts where you ever like felt like you were gonna fall down and laugh?
Or that I just died laughing.
Yeah.
I have to sit there and really kind of think about that one, because nothing that kind of comes to mind, but there's a lot of things that made me laugh because I can see myself doing that.
Yeah.
In a sense that, like, there was the daydream sequence that Lloyd had, where he daydreamed that he
him and Mary
basically in the restaurant, and he basically Mortal Kombat the waiter to impress the girl.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I haven't done that in my life. Not necessarily to that extreme. I don't think I've Mortal Kombat somebody, but I definitely have had daydreams that are very similar aspects back in high school, which was a sad high school moment for me, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But I would say I had those things, and then trying to think. I think, you know, the parts that weren't as humorous to me, and I don't know, maybe because I've just gotten older, but I remember finding it pretty funny back then, but not so much now, is like the toilet humor.
Okay.
Like, and like the toilet humor, I was like, I get, and occasionally it's okay. But I don't know. I'm not trying to say I'm being more sophisticated now with my humor, but it's just that it's not. It's just. I feel like it's kind of cheap. Like, that's a cheap way to try to get people to laugh. You know?
Yeah, but thank God they didn't use too much of that. That was that one moment. So it was good the movie didn't rely on toilet and fart humors that way.
That's what made this movie so good, is that. I think the humor, a lot of the humor in this movie was very clever in a stupid way.
Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself.
Yeah, but it was so clever in just a dumb way that I think that it made it work out the way it did. Like, you know, I think the next time we talk, and you guys will see our episode, we'll be talking about our next movie. And I don't think that movie is funny in a clever way at all. So, you know, you got to enjoy the fact that they were able to make you laugh, be absolutely stupid, but be really kind of smart about the stupidity that they're putting in front of you.
So, out of Lloyd and Harry, which character did you connect more, or who was more entertaining to you?
Lloyd was more entertaining.
Okay.
Harry I connected with the most because I can see myself in the aspect of accidentally running into things to make, you know, stuff happen, you know? Mm-hmm. But Lloyd, by far, like I said, Jim Carrey by far played that role up to a T. Like, I don't think there's any replacing him in this movie, because it was definitely movie magic for him.
Yeah.
What about you?
I connected more with Harry, because it's the little things that he did that add up later as something really funny that you don't even like realize that what he does. Like, I think one of my favorite scenes was on the highway when they got pulled over by a police officer. Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny about this movie is the more you watch it, the more in reality of now that those two could have been in jail about maybe the first 30 minutes of the movie, right? But just the fact that, like, Harry cracks me up because I think he's down for everything and not really thinking too hard about it. Like, he'll ask questions, but he's like, okay. Like while they were driving and Lloyd had to pee really bad. And he started peeing in all the empty beer bottles. And Harry was just down of, like, holding them all up. Then the police officer comes and, you know, he's saying, he's telling him, like, he's saying, hey, man, I can't hear you right now. And all this stuff, holding these bottles up. So it's like already a warning sign. Like, am I drunk driving in the cop's point of view? And then the cop tells him to pull over. And I think the cop is dumber than both of them at this point, because the fact that what cop do you know saying like, let me get a taste of that beer? Like, who just drinks after somebody regardless, even though it's full of urine, but who in general just does that? And so he drinks it. And I think the funniest part, he just goes like the straight troll face that you see online. He's like, he starts like squeaking up and everything like that. And he's like, get the hell out of here. I'm like, so like you gave them scot-free. I never got that scene. It's hilarious regardless. But it's just, it's
hilarious. It makes you think when you dissect that scene a little bit more, where you're just kind of like, wow, that cop is dumb. Like, dumb.
Right. But just the fact that like Harry was just so on the flow, everything's like, officer, I wouldn't do that. Like, and he says, shut up. I'm going to drink this or something like that. And he's like, okay.
It's funny because it all started because Harry wouldn't pull over. It's like pulling over for like 3 minutes would cause an issue. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like you're the one now that caused the reason why you're holding beer bottles of pee and then you spill it on yourself. Mm-hmm. Lloyd does have a good point though. He can't just stop peeing because it does sting.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But even like another Harry moment is the gas station. Right here, he is hollering at this girl and forgetting that he had gasoline on his pants. Right. And then it catch on fire while he's like so patient to get this girl's number that he just lost his mind. Like, just give me the damn number. Yeah. But he doesn't have the heart to tell, like, I'm on fire, by the way. I'm on fire.
Yeah. Well, man, you got to give it to Harry, though, because I'm going to say, and that scene, I think, is kind of what I understand, where I think I relate to Harry, where you just kind of accidentally, somebody will accidentally, like, dig you, and for whatever reason or another, like, find interest in you, right? Mm-hmm. But, I know Harry wasn't doing this in reality, but I can see myself doing this. My leg could be lit on fire, but I can't look weak in front of the girl, man. You can't look weak in front of the girl, Jeremy.
Yeah, no.
you got to stand tall and be tough.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Like, because, for this conversation we're having, I think that if you haven't seen this movie, you need to go watch it. Because this conversation we're having is going to be definitely jumping around stuff, because it's really just about a couple of guys going on his journey to return a briefcase to a girl named Mary, with more layers under that, right? But Mary Swanson. Samsonite. I was so close. This movie has so many quotables, but also this movie's all about moments. So based on this conversation, we're going to be really talking about all the moments that these two have done. Because I think based on the time, I don't think they really wasted a lot of time in the movie. Like, there weren't any scenes that felt like a waste of time. I think they used every minute they got very well. And if there is, maybe like a couple of minutes somewhere. But
yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I had a dislike in this movie where I just disliked something in this movie.
Yeah. So my question for you, Nam, is after watching it again, was there anything to you that you didn't notice this time? Like, and I'm talking about anything, like something in the background, something in the front ground, like anything that just around you just kind of stood out this time. Like, you just really didn't pay attention. For me, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, one of the things that definitely stood out to me was when Harry and Lloyd were on their last dollar or last couple of dough for the day after, getting fired from their jobs. Lloyd went out to go get stuff. And I didn't notice this time around while he was carrying booze and all this ridiculous stuff in a box, because this is where he was trying to get a paper out of a machine. I never knew that paper was called Rhode Island Sluts. Just never noticed that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and I forgot that the movie takes place in Rhode Island. After that point, I was like, it says in Rhode Island. That's right. And so I noticed the paper thing as, he gets somehow robbed by an old lady. But that paper right there kind of stood out to me a lot. And the fact that I never noticed that Harry said that he spent his life savings turning his car into a dog.
Dog, yeah.
Never noticed that this time around. I'm like, huh, I guess I just never heard him say that. That's funny. What about you? What are some things that you saw this time? Like,
so nothing that I can actually call out right now specifically, but there was a few, and I might be able to send it to you later on, so you can probably post some clips of what I'm thinking. So a lot of it was more conversational aspects of the conversation between Harry Lloyd and just how smart or clever the particular joke that they had within conversation.
Okay.
Nothing as far as like, I think a lot of it dealt with those two and Mary and everything like that. I think it was more of those two's conversations, because they made jokes within the conversations that I was like, oh, that's really clever. I didn't even think about that. That's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't like those moments that hit you like bam, like in the face, like, you know, the Samsonite thing, the daydreaming moment, or the toilet humor. Mm-hmm. Like those things you remember vividly because of the sheepdog with the leg being on fire. Those things you remember vividly, I think, because those are like physical acting moments. But like some of the conversations that they had, some of the things they said amongst each other, that I was just like, oh, that's pretty funny. Like I wouldn't say this was a primary example of one, but you know, he was just like, you know, oh, did some filly break your heart? He's like, no, it was a woman. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone remembers the workout one where I think, whereas like, look at the fun bags on that one or something like that.
Yeah.
Or no, look at that one. It was like, he must work out. I was like, I think everyone remembers that one.
Yeah.
But there was another one that was similar to that one in there too.
It was
where
probably
he was
the dinner party where they were in the costume. He was like, I will eat that girl with a fried bean and candy.
Yeah.
That one part right there, yeah.
I remember that part, yeah. But there was something in the conversations that I was just like, okay, cool. I was like, all right. That was like a setup for the next one, but I don't think we saw that one coming. So I think that was the only thing that really kind of stood out to me.
Okay.
Other than just how funny the movie is, just in general.
Yeah. So after watching it again, for the listeners, is this still my favorite Jim Carrey movie? Yes. We'll
have to go through and play that.
Yeah, it's still my favorite because I think this is the only movie I feel like Jim Carrey got to really let loose the most. Mm-hmm. You know, like maybe you can argue like based in Ace Ventura, but I feel like here Jim Carrey got to be like that in living color Jim Carrey, you know, just really let loose. And I like how they knew they had to get somebody that has to play off Jim Carrey, because Jim Carrey, I bet you, is hard to play off Jim Carrey. You know, whatever he's goofy at. And the fact that Jeff Daniels, I really like to actually sit there and listen to him talk about how did he have to kind of work with that to try to play off of him without like laughing too hard or not trying to sound over the top as Jim Carrey does in this movie. And how the other actors, you know, what about the Ransom people? You know, you got, you know, the three characters, which I would argue that out of everybody here, you know, you have Billy, Shay, and Joe. I feel like JP Shade should have got a little bit more, and she's the girl as part of the people that Ransom that was with, you know, with Joe, right? She's the one like, let me get these guys. Like, I feel like that she could have got a little bit more of a special moment, because like after Joe died from his own rat poison, after they played a joke on him putting like hot peppers on his burger, she kind of just fell off, and then she didn't really come back until the very kind of towards the end. Even so much she got arrested somehow, and we don't even know how she got arrested. You know what I mean? Along with, you know, with Billy. Hi, this is Jeremy, one of the hosts of When Jeremy Met Nom, and I'm here to make a correction on an actor that I mistakenly been saying. So in Dumb and Dumber, there's a head boss that works over Shay and Joe in the whole movie. So the actor's name is Charles Rocket, and he actually plays the role of a different actor that is not Billy. He plays a guy named Nicholas, and I made a mistake for that, so I apologize for that. But just for people that don't know, he was actually when I was doing my research and trying to find the name, I didn't know that he was on Saturday Night Live around the time Bill Murray was on there and Chevy Chase. And then on top of that, I didn't know that he disappeared in 2005. He died. And one of the deaths of that, I'm looking it up here, and what I found off of Wikipedia is that he was found dead in a field on his Connecticut property on October 7th, 2005, with his throat slit. Yeah, slit, right on his property. He was 56 years old. 10 days later, the state medical examiners ruled the death a suicide. The police investigate determined that there was no criminal aspect to the case. So, that's something interesting I didn't know about. And for anybody that kind of followed his work from way back, which, I only know him for Dumb and Dumber, and I can't think of any other movies off the top of my head without going down the list. Yeah, that's crazy. So I came on here just to kind of correct my mistake that he plays the role as Nicholas, not Billy in Dumb and Dumber. And then the fact that how he died was kind of crazy. Okay, so back to the program. So that is a little weird. I just wish she got a little bit more of a big role, because it makes you wonder, like, where could you fit her at? I guess that's the question too. Like, where would you fit her at that would make sense? Or let alone, should she even be in this movie?
Oh, she should absolutely be in this movie because she's very easy on the eyes.
Nice.
Actually, that begs the question. So, who do you think was the smartest villain?
Probably JP, because like she never got a chance.
I think some of the things that she said was very smart in this movie, and I think that was part of it too. That I was just like, oh, okay, because I think Nicholas was like, they're pros. Like everyone was like, those guys are pros, they're experts, and she was just like, what if it just happened just cause? And he was like, no, they're pros. This is why. Mm-hmm. I think she was probably the smartest villain too, as well, because I think some of the things that she said throughout the entire, like she was the least entire movie. She was the least paranoid. It felt like, because like Joe was just like, how do they know that I have gas? Where they were just talking about gas, man, and I was just like, okay,
yeah.
And Joe thought that they were professionals too. He's like, they have to be professionals. But don't get me wrong. JP was like, let's just off him. I'll off him. I'll do it. You don't even have to do anything. And Joe was like, no, we don't kill anyone we don't know.
Yeah.
I sat there and I was just like, why Joe? Why are we doing that, Joe? Just let JP kill him. We be done.
Like it's like an honor code, but it's not honor.
Yeah, right. It's like honor amongst who?
Right.
It's like, they took your briefcase, man.
Mm-hmm.
You want that money back, right? You want that paper back. You ain't going to go ask him for that paper back. You better go take it.
How much money could you guess was in that suitcase?
So probably less than obviously what they put in the suitcase. Mostly because I watch a bunch of videos that talk about this, or talk about similar situations. But how much is actually in that suitcase? Probably about at the most like $5,000 within.
$5? You think it's $5,000?
Yeah. So physically,
there's no way they did all that spending $5,000. There's no way.
It had to be over $1 million inside that.
In
that suitcase. But I mean, physically in that suitcase, I don't think it was that much. I think it was all $1 bills wrapped up in
that's fine. But in the movie world, yeah, we're looking at $1 million, right? Like renting a room in the highest hotel, buying a brand new car, so many clothes that they only they bought all that clothes. They only like wore one pair. So I think that was kind of funny. They spent so much money in that movie. The question too is like, how many IOUs were in that suitcase?
That's just all paper. That's exactly what it was. Less than $5,000 wrapped in IOUs.
And I love the logic of that. Like, you got to hold on to these, and it's like, are you gonna pay them back? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's like they're good. They're as good as money, as good as whatever. You would think that they would go back and take that money and make their pet shop I Got Worms.
Right, absolutely.
So I think everyone talks about the sequence of the tuxedos going into the gallows. So Jeremy, I know you and I sit there and talk about who we would be in the movie. I don't really want to ask that question because I mean, we both kind of feel that Harry is probably more like both of us. Because who would want to be Lloyd for one? Or Harry, really? Man, which suit would you rock?
Real talk, I rock the blue, but
I knew you would say that. I knew you would.
Orange is hard, man. Orange is a hard color, especially
Because I would have rocked that. Because you would have been the blue. I would have rocked the creamsicle orange.
You would, okay.
Yeah, like I was looking at the suits and I was like, I feel Jeremy would say this one, but personally I would say this one.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, all right. I was right. I mean, yeah, I would rock the creamsicle orange one mostly because I think that is kind of one of those colors that is kind of hard to rock, and I don't disagree with you, but I think with my skin color and complexion, that that kind of pastel orange works out for me a little bit better. Not to mention it's like the ruffles are a little black. Mm-hmm. They have like the black lining on the ruffles. So I was like, all right, no, I like that. I think I would rock the orange one. Yeah.
The question is, would we have the cane fight?
Because probably.
I know 100% that I would be that person that pop a cord and kill a bird. I just know that's me. That's me because I suck at opening bottles. I suck at opening a bottle of wine. I found that out like last year. I just know how to open up one. So that would be me killing that bird.
Yeah, and that would be also kind of a fair statement where where Harry goes and talks to Mary and gets a date with her by accident. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that would be me in that situation where I'm like trying to get her back to my hype man back behind me. Mm-hmm. But for some reason or another, like I just get roped into a date and I'm just like, yeah, I don't need to tell Jeremy this because it's gonna be bad news.
I really enjoyed the date that Harry and Mary did.
Oh yeah,
that was. To me, that was one of the things that definitely helped carry that movie. Was it had to be Harry and Mary while Lloyd was in the back because Harry never really got a moment yet through this whole movie. So he needed this moment, this build up for Harry to take this girl out, and because every moment they had together just cracked me up. Especially there's a song that plays. By the way, if you really pay attention to the music this time around. The music is interesting from the 90s song, which I went and looked up. There's no name for this song. But the song where Lloyd stops in his step and he feels his heart. You hear this 80s song that sounds like it should be from the Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
I was trying to look for that song to see if it's real. It's a real song, but it's like a short little instrumental. But the song that they played while they were like going out for skiing and stuff, one of the lyrics I wrote down was like, if you don't love me, I'll kill myself. And I never noticed that time around because most of my movies I watch in subtitles along with the English dub because sometimes I might mishear something. So So and sometimes even in songs, you know, they'll display what the lyrics of the song. So that's really cool. Why I like putting on subtitles. But that was one of the lyrics that came across. It was like during the snowball fight, was like, "Love me or I'll kill myself." And I'm like, who did this soundtrack? Like, this soundtrack is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I didn't notice that lyric or see that or hear that part, because I actually kind of like the soundtrack on this one too, as well.
Yeah, along with like when they were in Nebraska due to Lloyd's misdirection, and they played the Crash Test Dummies song.
Yeah, yeah, I knew that one.
You know, and I'm like, this is an interesting soundtrack.
Yeah, was it Crash Test Dummies? I can't for some reason. I thought it was a.
Oh, I forgot what it is. I just know the part is like, yeah, that's the part I remember the most. I think that's their only good single they had. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that is the Crash Test Dummies. I don't know why I was thinking of Blind Melon for some reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's very interesting of where the soundtrack went, and for some reason it still fit the movie very well because they just came in little bitty moments here and there.
Yeah.
And so if you watch the movie again, pay attention to the soundtrack. It's very interesting what songs worked and didn't work to you probably on there, especially during their road trip. Speaking of that, have you noticed that a lot of their funniest moments are inside the car, not the destinations on the way there? Like, not from like the diner, the gas station, you know, all that, all of these little things that they do in the car, other than the conversation, right? From the urinating in the bottle, the tag, like you're it, no take backs, whamsies, all this stuff. You can't do that. You know, all this stuff. You know, it's really funny how those little things start adding up later, because the fact that like, because of that, it's almost like a sign. Like every time they do something weird in the car, it gets weirder to the next spot they're going. So for instance, like Lloyd would hold Harry's nose while he was asleep, and that's why he got misdirected going to Nebraska, you know, to the point where they're singing Mocking Song with Joe in the car and picking up Hispanic people and singing this song. It leads them into this, you know, restaurant with chili peppers and stuff. So it's like, it's weird in a weird way how they set up for the next scene based on what they're doing in the car. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I thought it was kind of weird with whatever they do in the car. Just the next scene is going to be something hilarious or something ridiculous on top of that.
Yeah, something kind of like randomly off key, off point. Maybe it's their way of, maybe that's the birth of how Family Guy does their episodes, where it's just like they use something to set up the next thing or whatever.
Yeah, especially the whole, the Seabass people, you know, the people at the diner, like kick his ass Seabass.
Yeah.
It's weird how that came back in full circle of here they are, go to a bathroom, and it happens to be that guy's stall that he always goes to. I'm like, that is a weird turnaround.
You know, now that you mentioned that, that would be the only scene in this movie I could probably do without.
Okay.
Like, personally, like, I didn't quite... I knew Seabass had to get back some aspect of it or some way, but just the fact that Seabass was gonna, like sexually, you know...
Right.
Rape, Lloyd.
Rape is a strong word.
Oh, he was gonna make him give him fellatio. So, I mean, that's in terms of what's gonna happen. You know, that was kind of a downer for me. Which, I mean, I get what was going on there, but the only reason why that was a downer for me is just like Seabass was such a BA character in general. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily need. I don't know. There was a necessary need for all that to happen.
I think his character could have been used for a better situation than in the bathroom. There was other opportunities, like, you know, it could have been they got stranded in Nebraska, or stranded somewhere, and he happens to come up and pick him up somehow, or a fight broke out from there. There was a lot of other situations. Hell, I would have took Seabass at the gas station, accidentally getting lit on fire,
Yeah.
from the gas that he saw maybe those two get in the car.
Yeah, like he's coming up, he's coming at them, he's about to try to beat him up, then all of a sudden they accidentally
Yeah,
light him on fire somehow.
that is a little bit more convincing of Seabass coming back at them than, oh, what a coincidence that I read something on the wall and boom, here he comes. It felt forced for that character to come back in that way instead of making it natural. Because yes, we knew he was chasing them down, but it's been some days. I mean, it's been like a day. You're telling me he's still chasing him down and all of a sudden he goes to his favorite gas station like that? I don't know. It was not believable at that point.
Then he goes to his favorite gas station to do whatever he needs to do with whatever guy that he needs to do it with.
Yeah.
Like there's no rhyme or reason for you to think that was a thing and or funny, but that's more of a product of the 90s than it is anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How did you feel of how the FBI going after these two or keeping surveillance on these guys through the whole movie? How did you feel like that? Did you feel like they didn't really push it hard enough? Did you feel like that they didn't do enough? What do you feel about that? Because I feel like it was there, but it didn't really do anything. You know what I mean?
I was fine with it just doing what they do because I think the whole aspect of them keeping the focus on Harry and Lloyd was probably the smarter of the two. Then it's occasionally zooming out to the villains because you need to show the villains a little bit to see what their plan was and what they were trying to do. One of the biggest things that I was pretty surprised on is that they couldn't stop Harry and Lloyd, but then again, technically speaking, they had a spy on Harry and Lloyd the entire time with the girl that they met in the gas station and then also at the hotel bar. Mm-hmm. What was her name? I forgot.
Go on, and I'll have it for you.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, with her, I think they used her well enough to try to kind of keep tabs because I didn't see her turn coming whenever I was younger too, and I don't think I would have seen that she was an FBI agent, because they never really alluded to it. But I think keeping the focus on just Harry and Lloyd was a better move. Though I would say what kind of car were they driving? And they're like, well, they're driving an 84 Sheepdog. So, first off, how do they know it's a 1984 version of a van of some sort? Why didn't they just say it was the Sheepdog?
By the way, her name is Beth Jordan, but she's credited as Athletic Beauty. Yeah, I don't know how they know what year that car is. It's like they took a guess of what that vehicle was with the dog on it. I don't know, man. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was just like, how would you know that it's an 84 Sheepdog? Why don't you just say it was a Sheepdog?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. Unless like somehow someone at that place overheard them name the car, but that doesn't seem realistic at all.
Yeah. I don't get that. So Joe ripped off the head of a bird. So if you were JP in that scene, would you tell him not to rip off the head of the bird?
Yes, I will tell him not to do that.
See, I thought so too. It's like, I know I'm evil and I can be a villain too as well, but ripping a head off of a bird seems really excessive to me.
Yeah, I would think breaking the glass to the worms would be a little bit more, here's a sign that we're here more than a bird. Yeah,
and just let everything just kind of... I mean, I know the area looks kind of torn up, but breaking like the worm farm and letting the worms in the dirt just scatter all over the floor, making them having to pick it up and take care of it, leaving a note or something. But I was thinking the same thing. I was just like, when I first watched it, I was just like, I wonder why she doesn't stop him from ripping the head off of a bird, because that just seems excessive to me.
I think she's afraid of him.
Well, he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she was just afraid of him at that time. Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Would you, at the beginning, if someone left a suitcase in the middle and you saw that person leave it, would you go after it?
I would run.
You would run and grab it?
No, I would run away.
Oh, you would run away.
I would probably tell some sort of authority that somebody just left a suitcase just hanging there.
Okay.
Like I would have to see where the person is going, for one, because my first thought isn't. I mean, as much as hey, you know what? Lauren Holly is very cute, and I would love to help her out in a situation if she really needs it. But if someone suspiciously leaves a suitcase like that, I'm thinking bomb, like immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh crap. So no, I would probably alert some sort of authority. If she happened to just go into the restroom, I'd be like, all right, well, I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, she really. I think honestly, I think anybody should have noticed that. Like, she didn't put it somewhere like it's easy to miss. Like, she didn't put it like behind the stairs or near like a bench or something. She literally put it like what it felt like in the middle of an opening. Like, I think that's red flag for anybody that should have like what the hell kind of moment.
Yeah, and I think that's more of a product of today's 2021 environment, where I would assume that was a bomb, because if you were to try to get the most people and the most damage in the situation, I'd probably leave a bomb out in the open too as well. So I'm just like, yeah, no, I wouldn't run and grab that and try to help her out. Now, if she went to the restroom, I'd keep an eye on it, just so when she comes out, it's still there. But then again, kind of like what you said in the last couple of talks that we've had. It's your fault that it gets stolen because you left it right in the middle of nowhere.
Right? Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't go after it. And I mean, if it fell out of her carousel or something like that, if she was doing a carousel, but she was literally walking with the suitcase and put it down.
Mm-hmm.
But if it fell out of a carousel or something like that, I would grab the suitcase and tell her, "Hey, ma'am, your bag is falling off." But if I saw this girl just bend down to drop the suitcase and then leave, I'd be like, "Okay, this is bad."
So it makes me wonder if the house they were leaving. Do we think that's just Mary's house alone, and she went to go visit her parents up there, and that's their home, or is it the other way around?
So that was some things that I was wondering too as well, because I didn't understand the housing thing, and I didn't really understand the gala thing in a way, because you would assume that someone as high, I guess in the movie they portrayed Mary Swanson as a very kind of like high class up in there,
mm-hmm.
that they wouldn't question where her husband had went throughout the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she was leaving home and going to her parents. But is it her parents' house that she went to?
I don't know.
In Colorado, because I think that might just be her and her husband's estate, just because they're just a popular family.
I don't know. I guess I thought it was the parents, because when it was Harry going over to the home before using the bathroom, I thought that was their parents' house. It's a pretty big house, so it's like. So are they that rich that they have a extra house up there? And if so, what does their parents do? Do they have their? I don't know. There was a lot of jumping around, so I just assumed that's their parents' house, and then that's their house at the very. I mean, that's Mary's house and husband at the beginning.
This is where we shouldn't think too hard into this movie, but we're going to just because it's fun.
Yeah.
But so technically speaking, her last name isn't Swanson though, right? Because she's married, so she married her husband and took his last name.
Yeah, but we don't know that.
No, but I mean that's the typical assumption that you would have to make, though, right?
And if you're Lloyd, I guess if you're Lloyd and Harry, if you're outside looking in, you might assume that it is, because she never mentioned her husband. But maybe,
yeah. For Harry and Lloyd, they would assume that Swanson was just her last name.
Yeah.
But like you and me, if we're dissecting it the way we're dissecting it, Swanson would be her husband's last name, and that the Swanson family, that like the mom and the dad that we saw, that's the Swanson family, was actually, it's their son, not son-in-law, it's their son that's been kidnapped, and they're trying to.
Yeah, so there you go. So it's not really her parents; it's his parents, then, right?
It's his parents, yeah. But it's weird though, right? Because her parents or his parents. Is it Helen Swanson? I'm guessing that's the mom.
I guess
but
so.
Helen Swanson tried to hook
Yeah.
Tried to hook Harry up with Harry.
Yeah, and it's like, what? That
Yeah,
doesn't even make sense.
so maybe she's a gold digger, and we didn't know this entire time, and that's why. And Helen's like, Helen Swanson's like, I want this bitch to leave. I want to get my son back, and I want this bitch to leave.
Yeah, because I guess I didn't look hard enough, but I never saw. I guess maybe I never cared to pay attention if she had a ring on her hand or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think she did. Not from what I've noticed, and it's one of those weird things that I do kind of pay attention to. But not that I noticed in the movie that she had a ring on her finger.
Okay.
She should though, because which is now we have to go back and watch some of the parts because she should though because they told her to act normal like nothing happened.
Yeah, and what a tease to her kissing Harry and Lloyd like that. So much like a little peck on the cheek and stuff like that. And I'm like, is that it? It's like you're kind of leading on now. Like, what? You know? That's why. That's why.
She was just being nice, right?
In that case, I guess.
To us, it might be that way because we never get that much action.
No. But tell me you wouldn't pull the Lloyd moment at the end that you pull out a gun and start shooting him. Because, like, you had a husband? You know? Like, oh, you know, that part. And my mindset would go, and they're like, really? This whole time you never cared to drop a name? Like, you're married? Especially the 1 in a million part where he's like, where are my chances? Like 1 in 100, 1 in a million. Oh, there's a chance. You know, like you never cared to mention that, like, Lloyd, I'm married. Like, never cared to talk about that ever.
Well, technically speaking, she's not wrong, though. He has a 1 in a million chance, though. Because, I mean, she could get a divorce and then she could hook up with him. There's that 1 in a million, though, right?
But you would think that she would at least drop the name 1 in a million if my husband and I, like, somehow I feel like the word husband should have came out of her mouth in some conversation. Anything. Like, oh, my husband and I like to go skiing all the time up here. Oh, hey, my husband and I always did this. Oh, my husband and I picked this house that you're going over. Like, never ever a word husband came out of this mouth of this woman.
Maybe she was somewhat interested. Are you talking about real life? We're talking about real life.
No, I'm talking about in that world.
Maybe she's kind of interested, right?
Yeah. In real life, she's teasing and she's looking. She's making options in case he doesn't make it back. Like, I guess I'll deal with these two. Because hands down, she would have gone with Harry.
Kudos to Harry and Lloyd because
it would have been Harry. She would have gone with Harry over Lloyd, hands down.
Yeah, hands down. But I give those two. I give those two props because they had a chance. They had a chance, a way better chance than I would have. But they had a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Harry had a chance with. Well, he ruined a chance with the special agent woman Beth, and then got married. And I feel like Lloyd might have had a better chance with Beth in the bar. So it seems. Yeah. Then that's just interesting.
So who would you actually go with, Mary or Beth?
Beth.
You would go with Beth. Okay.
Mary, no, like this is that mentality of the rich girl. I don't know if I could handle that, you know, kind of thing. Like, at least Beth would be a little bit more down to earth. But I would.
Yeah, I was gonna say Beth seems a little bit more down to earth. Mary seems. I wouldn't say uptight. She seems sweet, very sweet, but there's something else about Beth or about Mary that I would be concerned with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then again, Beth it seems pretty forceful. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like
maybe you just want somebody to take charge. You know.
The only thing that hurts Beth that she's probably a no is that she won't stop talking about her exes, as you heard it like in the movie. Like I'm getting away from my boyfriend or my ex-boyfriend and all this stuff. You know. Yeah. Which, you know, is kind of clever in her way of like keep an eye on them, but showing that but by saying, talking about her exes all the time, it kind of takes them off too. So it kind of plays it off. So it's kind of smart in her own way how she did that.
I think that was pretty clever how she kind of distracted the way that she did. But I was going to say, I can imagine Beth being with you and then you just being like, you know, we slept together and she was the man.
I couldn't agree with that. You know, I can't disagree with that. But I think. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And there's one more thing. It's like, so there's no way that Lloyd can read that they landed on the moon because he can't read. It was such a fart in the church kind of scene. But there was the scene where they were in the bathtub and they were reading the newspaper, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Harry was
No.
teaching him how to read.
It wasn't in the bathtub. It was in the hotel because he saw Mary on the paper. And that's when they were talking about the party. That's the scene you're talking about. Yeah.
And then he's at the bar and he's leaving the bar when he finds out he got stood up. Then he read that they landed on the moon. And he was like, "Yes! I can't believe we landed on the moon."
I think he knows certain words. I don't think he knows anything more than 2 syllables. I mean, 3 syllables.
But he couldn't say the word "the" because he was like, the. It's like, that's a hard one, "the."
That's true. I swear, even before that, he was reading something, but I could be 100% wrong.
He might have been. I mean, they read Samsonite. He was able to get that one right.
Well, I was trying to think at the diner. I thought he read something in the menu or something at one point, but maybe he was just guessing.
Oh no, you're probably right. I'm just saying.
If I say, I'll just take a burger.
I don't know why that particular scene where they're in the hotel where he had a hard time reading. Eventually, it clicked in my head that he wasn't able to read per se, but yeah, somehow he read throughout the movie. So,
yeah, I think that is kind of funny now that you mention it because like it makes me want to go back and watch the diner scene again to see if he even like looked at something to read. When he was looking at that menu. I don't know,
man. The more we're talking about it, the more I kind of want to go and get a burger. I'm not gonna lie.
I like burgers.
A jalapeno burger or some sort. It sounds good. Might be go to Brahms right after this.
Right. The way they did their burger, I mean, that burger at that restaurant was not my cup of tea. Like, no way I would do that. Especially also too, like, what would you do in their situation if someone's down on the ground? Like, would you try to do something? Even if you don't know what you're doing, like I know the Heimlich maneuver, but like he doesn't. Like, would you do something, or would you go out and get somebody that might know it? Like, what would you?
I would scream like your typical thing is anyone a doctor, which is the dumbest thing, but it's true because at the time, you didn't have cell phones that you can just sit there and call 911 and be like, "Hey, what's going down?" Plus, like. That's actually one of the things I want to learn personally is learn how to do CPR because I'd like to be able to help if situations called for it. Plus, I really hate to know that I'd feel helpless when I'm watching a person literally just die in front of me, No, I think I would have called out and been like, "Hey, is anyone a doctor?" In an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. Are you a doctor? Is anyone a doctor? Then look at us like, "You a doctor?" Bam!
You a doctor?
The doctor needs a doctor.
The doctor needs a doctor.
I would probably do that or call 911. One of the two. What about you? Would you start elbowing? Just drop your elbow on his chest to help him?
Actually, I would do the whole like boom to the chest just to see if that would work. Doing something.
Okay. You wouldn't do the leg thing where he was just trying to like squeeze water out of his mouth.
My mind, I don't know why. My mind would not go straight to legs first. I don't know.
It's like the old school cartoons where they move the legs and the water.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But you would think if you pound on the stomach more, that makes more sense to me in that Looney Tune kind of thing. But it is what it is. Now I would try attempt it for that because it's better than nothing until like somebody volunteers. Like I know it, and I was like, okay, then I'll stop hitting his chest so hard.
Well, yeah, the only problem with doing that is you can cause a lot of trauma in that area.
You can't.
That'd be bad.
But
I get what you're saying.
I'm thinking in the heat of the moment kind of mentality. When you're in the heat of the moment,
no, I get what you're saying.
I think people that are doing that, they're not thinking. They're just trying to do something. Like, if I can do anything, I'm going to do something, even if it, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing. So, kind of mentality.
Gotcha.
Even though the whole thing, like, you're doing more damage than good kind of mentality, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, I get where you're going.
Yeah.
I get where you're going.
Yeah. So, is there anything
else you want to throw in?
I probably want to think about what. And we're going to go into our awards in a second, but I try to think about what moment do I feel like I would have done the dumbest thing ever in this movie? Like, what is the dumbest thing I would have done in this movie? Like, out of all the scenes that, like, what is the dumbest thing I would have done? That, like,
What is the most likely thing that you would do?
Yeah, like, would it be, now, I think one of them is I would have took the wrong turn and go somewhere else. Because I wouldn't really, I think one time I have done that before, like I took a wrong turn somewhere and I thought I was going the right way. So I could see myself like going the wrong way, especially like I mostly road trip with people, but I normally don't drive that much. You know this, you know.
Yeah.
I think I drove maybe one time in our times that we go somewhere. I think maybe I drove one time before. So not knowing directions very well of the X's and stuff without Google. If like, let's pretend Google didn't exist, you know, at that time, like I had to really pay attention to signs. I think I might have been dumb enough to make a wrong turn somewhere.
Yeah.
Not knowing that Aspen is where we're going and I'm going straight to somewhere else. I might have done something really stupid like that. And so,
you know, the burger part where they're eating the peppers and stuff like that. I see that being something I would just do in general. Just try to eat like the hottest peppers and stuff like that. Then trying to cool myself off with ketchup and mustard and all the other stuff, stupid stuff that I could find. If it was that bad, I would probably do whatever I could possibly do to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it too, because I've had peppers that were really spicy to the point where I tried to find something to do, but if it was really bad, I would sit there and like slam the ketchup and mustard and try to get it to work out.
I would have done the ski scene where I'm literally walking in with the ski and knocking out other things. I think I would have done that because I never been skiing before, and I probably would have like tried to be dumb enough to walk in with the skis on.
Yeah.
Even though we're like you would be there and like, well, we're not skiing yet. Oh, I thought we were just going right after this. Like, no, we're getting ready. Like, take them off. So I think I would have done something like that. Last question for you before I wrap up and go to the awards. Okay. Do you compare on the balance of journey and destination? Do you think that what would you want more of? Did you want more of the journey to get to Aspen, or more moments in Aspen if you had to take more of?
If I wanted to add more minutes to the movie and just said, I think journey for me.
Okay.
I think I would like to see a little bit more of the journey aspect and see some of the dumber stuff that they do later on.
Okay.
I would also like I said, the sea bass thing. I would like to see more of kind of like a horror movie where Seabass is this unrelenting dude that's coming for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
After they screwed him over, but kind of have a better ending to that ordeal, like catching on fire, like you said, something that, or have a moment where he like turns and he's just like this really good dude, but you know, he was just having a bad day and that they pissed him off.
I am going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to go with more time in Aspen and build up the villains a little bit more.
Okay.
Where they would come up with different ways to try to get them, and it doesn't work because they're just too dumb to fall for these things. And that would give JP a little bit more of a shine, and you know, the other guy too. So to give them a little bit more time, and Mary to kind of stretch out a little bit more. And so I would have a little bit more time in Aspen in that aspect. So
okay,
yeah. But overall, movie, it's still enjoyable. I'm curious how I'm gonna be later on in my life watching this movie again and see if I still think it's still my favorite. So that's going to be interesting because you could definitely tell it's definitely a product of the 90s. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if it'll necessarily change because I think you will. As far as Jim Carrey movies, I think it'll hold a special part in your heart. I think there's movies that we'll need to go back and revisit again between the two of us. that that will kind of help us out a little bit more, kind of like The Mask, Ace Ventura,
Hmm.
uh, Liar Liar, Yes Man,
Me, myself, and Irene.
yeah, Me Myself Irene, stuff like that.
Okay.
I think once we revisit it, we might be able to talk about it.
Okay. So, are we ready for the awards?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'll go. No, you go first since yours is very headline. So,
Mine is a tribute to this movie is the Dumb and Dumber Award for what is the dumbest thing that somebody did in this movie. It doesn't actually have to be Harry or Lloyd, just dumbest thing in the movie.
okay.
Here are some of my nominees, and I'm sure there's so many, so I'm sure you can add some, and we can talk about it. So Harry throwing the salt shaker over his shoulder, causing Seabass and gang to get pissed off, and having them follow the entire movie.
Okay.
Joe getting into the car with Harry and Lloyd, because that was his death afterwards. Trading Harry or Lloyd trading the van for a moped.
Okay.
This monster gets 70 miles to the gallon.
Okay.
Harry for putting his tongue on the frost on the skylift. Why? And then two more people. The dude in the trench coat. You get this nominee too. Because you decided to walk up to the phone booth and be like, other people. It's like, I need to use the phone. I need to use the phone. And Joe knocks you out. You deserve that. Very stupid.
That was very
Why
funny.
why would you ever walk up to the dude and just annoy him? And the last but not least on my Dumb and Dumber award is the cop that pulled up for Harry and Lloyd. Because A, you drank the bottle of piss, the pee beer, but B, you couldn't figure out that it was pee to start with when you smelt it. And the fact that you actually still drank it, kind of switched it in your mouth, and did the face. You're on this award list too as well. So those are my choices.
I don't think I have anything to really add. Because when you picked Lloyd and Harry, you're picking like the top dumbest thing out of everything they've done. Those are the top one. Because it's tough because I would say for Harry, it's like spending his life savings, turning his van into a dog.
Yeah,
that's a pretty damn dumbest thing. Because it's like what? I didn't even hear that the first time.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't. That was new to me too for some reason.
Like life savings. Oh my goodness. Which is like, how much was your life savings? That's like the curious question about that.
$2 apparently. No. I'm just kidding.
Lloyd though, it's funny because like I don't know if it's a joint one, but I think it has to go to Lloyd for letting Harry urinate on him while they're on the moped and it froze.
Yes, there's that one.
That one is pretty damn crazy dumb. And that's a best friend award right there. Like letting your buddy just go. It's
like, don't get me wrong, Jeremy, we're close friends, but you ain't peeing on me, bud.
Right. I think it's the cop because the cop to me should be ashamed of himself regardless, not because of his job, just the fact that like your whole situation going into this didn't make any sense, and I don't even know why you are a cop after this point. I would have quit my job after that moment. Just the fact that like, you're on the job and you're going to test somebody's beer on the job, and like you said, the urinal and stuff. So yeah, I think the cop wins it on this one by a landslide for me.
This is fine. This is fair. I give you that because I sat there and thought about it too. Was just like, this cop is stupid. It's like, how do you not know that it's pee?
Yeah.
Like you sat there and you sniffed it and everything. How did you not know it was pee? I'm gonna give it to Joe And the only reason why I give it to Joe is because he doesn't make it after this,
Okay.
after jumping into the car with Harry and Lloyd. Plus, he was the one that was like, "These guys are professionals. We don't kill who we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't kill who we don't know." I was like, I don't understand these rules. It's like, obviously Harry and Lloyd aren't following those rules. So, you know, you have a set of pills that are rat poison, and you have a set of pills that are for your heart, and you try to kill Harry and Lloyd, but yet when someone goes into your pocket and try to find pills to try to help you out, what do you think is going to happen, man?
Yeah.
It's a 50-50 shot on whether or not it's the rat poison, dude. So you got what you deserved. You were the stupid one. You got into the car with Harry and Lloyd, and you were the one that suggested the radio, and they decided to sing. You should have known better. You should have assessed the situation and been like, you know what, JP, how about you stand over here, and then you get in the car to hitchhike with him, and you tell me what's going on. No, easily could have survived this movie. Just saying, Joe, you are the dumb one.
Okay. All right. So my award is called "So Dumb It's Genius." Some of the dumb things they did that turn out being really smart on their side. So, this is mainly towards Harry and Lloyd, but you can add anybody else. I feel like any other extras I feel like it's more dumb than genius. Because they don't really get any genius bonus. The way I'm going to do this is I have actually 3 for Lloyd and 3 for Harry.
Okay.
And then you can add anything you want to that. So,
Sounds good.
So for Lloyd, sold the dead bird to the blind kid to get money. So it's pretty genius in that way, because that's how they got their trip to get there. So you don't know how much they got for the bird. They don't know how much they got for the bird, but enough to get food, gas, more food, and whatnot. I don't know. But poor blind kid, but they must have got some good money from this kid. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, absolutely horrible move, but very clever. I agree.
Lloyd number 2 is got Seabass to pay for their meal. You know?
Yeah.
And I was pretty smart because I didn't think Lloyd would do that. And I think Lloyd didn't know it was going to work out like that. So it was so smart, it made sense. Yeah. And so, and the last one for Lloyd was, I think it's Lloyd's idea of the whole pepper in the burger thing. That they killed Joe so they wouldn't get killed by Joe.
Yeah.
To help, assess the whole situation. Even though I think it was Harry that got the pills, but I think it's Lloyd that actually shoved them down his mouth.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So those are the top 3 for Lloyd. Harry, though. Harry saving Lloyd's life in the bathroom because he got his leg on fire, and he thought it was the smartest thing is to go to the bathroom and have the toilet to fix the fire, and knocks him out. The snowball fight with Mary, where Mary did a little small, and he just winds up and just smacks the hell out of her with the snowball, and they wrestle for it so much that she got excited about it. So she was really happy about it, and they just sat there and laughed, have fun. So, good game on his part. And then the last one is Harry taking the bullet for Lloyd in the hotel room with Mary, where he's talking to Lloyd like, no, me and Mary had a great time. We went skiing, we did all this. And he's like, okay, kill him. And not knowing that he's a bulletproof vest. But here's the funny part about that scene too, was like, at one point, Harry was going to let Lloyd take the bullet, forgetting that he had the bulletproof vest at one point, that he had to try to one-up him. So I feel like that was natural more than like, crap, he's taking... you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't like trying to really get him to go. It was more of like they were actually trying to be legitimate friends, saying, "No, I'm the worst person." So it's kind of dumb, but genius in that way. So he took a bullet for him.
I get you.
And so, so those are my top 3 for each side. Any you want to add to that?
No, I think you kind of nailed all the ones that I had on there too, as well.
Okay.
Because also to continue on, I like that part. That was another one of the clever conversations I had. Is just like, things that you would think of when you have a bulletproof vest. It's like, what if you shot him in the face? What if he would shot me in the face?
Yeah.
Like, we were willing to take that chance. I was like, all right. That's so true, because that's something that you always think of. And this movie was one of those movies that first finally pointed it out, that a bulletproof vest will help you in the chest, but man, you take it to the face, man, you down.
Yeah.
So props to Dumb and Dumber for being clever in that aspect too. So for me, as horrible as it sounds, the selling the bird, decapitated bird, and taping it up to the blind kid to get bankrolled is the one for me, because I'm just like, the more you think about it, the more you're just like, that is absolutely horrible and immoral in every way, shape, or form.
Okay.
But you sell it to the blind kid so you can get some money to bankroll your trip to see Mary Swanson. Good for you. Good for you.
Mine is a snowball fight. I think it was just so genius in his own mind of like, I'm just going to go like hard on this girl. Like, from the snowman for putting the carrot as a penis with the eyes down at the bottom of his balls, to the point where it's just this fun little moment, and he just goes all in, not even giving a second thought. Like, you want to start some shit? Let's start some shit. And if she didn't laugh, I think he would have kept going. So much that she just was just dumbfounded and hypnotized by that moment. And I thought, like, I wish I can do that. I wish that I could take it that far, and she thinks it's cute or funny in that way. But most of the time, they're like, this guy's psychotic, kind of thing. It wouldn't work for me. So I give Harry credit on that. I think that was so dumb that it was genius in his own way. Good Mac.
Yeah,
good Mac.
Definitely. So I think there's a personality. There's a personality that you have to exude to make something like that work. Mm-hmm. Jeremy, you got to work on that, man.
I do. We need to go on a ski trip so I can work on that.
Yeah, you gotta work on that, man. Take a serious full on competition with whoever woman that you decide to court. But yeah. So going into our last topic, we are talking about Rotten Tomatoes. It's a website that people go to apparently to determine whether or not they really want to watch a movie or not, or they just want to give their opinion about a movie. Mm-hmm. There's 2 scores: the critical scores, which are written by critics, supposedly written by critics throughout the U.S. or the world, and then the audience member, which is like you and me. Hey, you! I'm talking about you. Be special. Who get to rate on the score and determine and just decide what they thought about the score and see if they give it to the critics. So here we get to use both scores and try to determine whether we're one of you guys or we're one of them. So critics gave it a 68% out of 53 votes, which, let's be honest with ourselves, they can go to hell. And the audience gave this an 84%. You would use the real heroes, audience. Use the real heroes. Out of 250,000 plus reviews. Jeremy, why are you a hater?
So check this out. I honestly think those 2 scores are reasonable. I think for people that didn't get the movie the way they want it, 65 makes sense. And the people that enjoyed the movie would give it an 84. Because this type of comedy is not for everybody. But it's not a bad movie. So 65 kind of does it justice. But for me, of course, I'm at 84. I think it's hilarious for what it is. I think all the cast did a great job for what they're doing. And, kudos for them for just going all in and not second guessing. You can tell that, some jokes landed, some jokes probably didn't land it for you. But at least they took the risk and went for it, right? And didn't have to go to the toilet and fart humors all the way through to get the joke across. You know, so yeah,
Like some movies we deal with, right?
yeah. So I'm an 80. I'm an 84 on that. What about you?
I am an 84. I love this movie. Like I said, there really wasn't anything that I disliked about this movie other than I would say probably the sea bass scene that we talked about.
Yeah.
But like again, like we said, that was more of a product of the '90s than it is anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was clever. I thought it was funny. With you, like there was moments of toilet humor, but you know there was less moments of toilet humor in this movie than in a movie that we'll talk about some point in the future too, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it got its point across without the need. But I also think it touched on some insecurities of just some people growing up, and that it's just important to be yourself. And no matter how dumb you are, apparently, you'll find a way to have that 1 in a million chance like everyone else. I'm looking for my 1 in a million chance. I'm just saying. I'll never get it, Jeremy, but I'm looking for my 1 in a million
Don't give up,
chance.
Aaliyah. You'll be okay.
High five!
High five. Okay, so with that, I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode as part of the In-Game Boss program and Network Game and other variety shows. So please check out all our great shows. If you're on YouTube, help us out by subscribing to the page and help us out by watching all our other great content. If you are a listener, thank you so much. Remember, we have all these other listening spots you can definitely check out. Check out our Linktree in the description or other link spots. Also, we're on Facebook and Twitter, so definitely check us there. We're always looking for followers and people that comment, so don't be afraid to comment and tell us how we're doing, if we're doing great or bad, especially on the YouTube. But if you're on Twitter, please give us a follow. Follow us. We're great to have you there and be up to date with all the movies that we talk about and video games and whatnot. Of course, you can find me as RetroAmp07, and on the Twitter itself, you can type in @ProgramIn. And any extra stuff you want to say, you can always email me at ingameoffice@gmail.com. And with that, thank you so much. And remember, there is no dumb questions.